Commander Zethus stood on the bridge of his flagship looking at the blue planet below. Earth, the third planet from a small yellow star. His people, the Kaldrith, had studied this world for months. The creatures living there were primitive. They had barely left their own planet. They fought among themselves with simple weapons. They would be easy to conquer. The Kaldrith Empire had conquered 47 worlds. Zethus himself had led invasions on 12 of them. This would be his 13th victory. He felt no doubt. The plan was perfect. 3,000 dropships would enter the atmosphere. His soldiers would land in strategic locations around the planet. Within 6 hours, they would control all major cities. Within 3 days, the humans would surrender. His soldiers were the best in the galaxy. Each one was genetically enhanced from birth. They were faster, stronger, and smarter than their ancestors. Their armor could stop any primitive weapon. Their ships could travel between stars. The Kaldrith were superior in every way. Zethus looked at the data screens again. Earth's gravity was slightly stronger than the Kaldrith homeworld. The air was breathable. The temperature was acceptable. Nothing his equipment could not handle. His military scientists had checked everything twice. There would be no problems. Begin the invasion, Zethus commanded. 3,000 ships left the main fleet. They moved in perfect formation toward the blue planet. Inside each ship, 50 soldiers prepared themselves. They checked their weapons. They secured their armor. They had done this many times before. This was routine. The ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Fire surrounded them as they pushed through the air. This was normal. Every landing started this way. But then something went wrong. Alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed across every control panel. Zethus grabbed the arms of his command chair as his ship began to shake. The shaking grew worse, much worse. "Commander, the gravity compensators are failing," his pilot shouted. The readings were wrong. "The gravity is much stronger than predicted." "Impossible," Zethus said. "We scanned this planet for months. The equipment is not responding, Commander. We are falling too fast." All around him, Zethus heard the same reports from other ships. The invasion fleet was in trouble. The gravity was not just a little stronger. It was crushing their systems. The compensators that allowed his soldiers to move normally were breaking down. The ships were falling out of the sky. Zethus made a decision. "All ships, emergency landing procedures. Get down however you can. Survive first. We will regroup on the surface." His ship dropped like a stone. The pilot fought with the controls. They were supposed to land gently on a field near a human city. Instead, they were crashing. The ship hit the ground hard. The impact threw Zethus against his restraints. Metal screamed. Systems exploded. Then everything went dark. When Zethus woke up, everything hurt. His body felt wrong. Too heavy. He tried to stand but fell immediately. The gravity was crushing him. His armor should have been helping, but it was damaged. He could barely breathe. Around him, his crew was in the same condition. Some were not moving at all. His pilot was trapped under a broken control panel. Zethus tried to lift it but could not. The simple piece of metal was too heavy. How could this be? He activated his communication device. Static filled his ears. Then voices, panicked voices. "Ship 47 is down. Heavy casualties. We crashed in water. The ship is sinking. We cannot swim in this gravity. Requesting assistance. Our soldiers cannot move. Something is wrong with the air. Commander Zethus, do you read? The invasion has failed. Most ships crashed. We have lost thousands." Zethus felt shock run through his body. Failed? How could they fail? They had not even faced the human military yet. They had been defeated by the planet itself. He looked at his tactical display. It was cracked but still working. Of 3,000 ships, only 187 were reporting functional landings. The rest had crashed. His mighty invasion force was scattered across the planet, broken and dying. Zethus tried to understand what had happened. The gravity was part of it. But there was something else. The air was making him sick. His throat burned. His eyes watered. The scans had said the air was breathable. The scans had been wrong, or incomplete. The air had something in it that was poison to his people. He heard a sound outside the ship. Footsteps. Heavy footsteps. The humans had found them already. Zethus tried to reach for his weapon, but his arm would not obey. He was too weak. The gravity was too strong. He could only watch as the ship's emergency door was torn open. Light flooded in. A shadow appeared in the doorway, a human, female based on his briefings. She was small compared to Keldrith standards, but she moved easily. The gravity that was crushing him meant nothing to her. The human looked around the crashed ship. She saw the injured Keldrith soldiers. Her expression changed. Zethus had studied human faces. This was not anger. This was concern. Why would she be concerned? The human pulled out a small communication device. She spoke quickly in her language. Zethus's translator was damaged but still caught some words. Multiple casualties. Need medical support. They're hurt bad. Then the human did something Zethus could not believe. She came toward him. She knelt beside him. She examined his injuries with quick, efficient movements. This was a trained medical response. But why? He was her enemy. His people had come to conquer her world. The human grabbed a piece of broken equipment that was pinning Zethus's second-in-command. She lifted it with one hand. The metal beam that Zethus could not move at all. This small human lifted like it weighed nothing. She pulled the injured Keldrith free and began treating his wounds. Zethus watched in amazement. The human moved around the ship, checking each soldier, doing what she could to help them. She did this while standing and walking normally. The gravity that had destroyed his invasion fleet was her normal environment. The terrible truth crashed into Zethus's mind like a second impact. Earth was not a normal planet. Earth was what the galactic community called a death world. A planet with conditions so harsh that most species could not survive there. And humans had evolved here. Every human on this planet had grown up under this crushing gravity. They had adapted to it. They were built for it. Every human was naturally stronger than his enhanced soldiers. Every human child could probably lift more than a Keldrith warrior. The humans were not primitive. They were living in conditions that would kill most advanced species. They had survived and thrived in an environment that was destroying his invasion force. More humans arrived. They brought equipment. They began carefully extracting the Keldrith soldiers from the wreckage. They were rescuing them. Saving them. The enemy was saving them. Zethus tried to speak. Why? He managed to say in the human language. The female human looked at him. Because you're hurt, she said simply. That's what we do. As darkness took him again, Zethus understood. The Keldrith had not failed because Earth had great weapons. They had failed because they had completely misunderstood what kind of world Earth was and what kind of beings humans were. They had tried to conquer giants. And those giants impossibly were choosing to show mercy. The invasion was over before it had begun. But something else was starting. Something the Keldrith Empire had never experienced before. They were about to learn what it meant to be rescued by those they had tried to destroy. Sarah Chen had been hiking in Olympic National Park when the sky turned into a light show. At first she thought they were meteors, beautiful and bright. Then the ground shook. Trees swayed. Birds flew away in panic. Whatever was falling, it was big. And it was close. Sarah was a lieutenant in the 75th Ranger Regiment. She was also a trained combat medic. Her leave was supposed to be peaceful. Just her, the forest, and silence. But training never really left you. When she heard the crash 3 miles away, she did not run away. She ran toward it. She called it in as she moved. Her phone barely had signal, but she got through to emergency services. This is Lieutenant Sarah Chen, military ID 77492. Something crashed in Olympic National Park, Sector 12. Sending coordinates. I'm going to investigate. The dispatcher tried to tell her to wait. Sarah kept moving. If someone was hurt, every second mattered. That was what she had been taught. That was what she believed. The crash site was not hard to find. Trees were knocked down in a straight line. Smoke rose into the sky. And there in the middle of a clearing that had not existed an hour ago was something impossible. A ship, not a human ship. Nothing like anything humans had ever built. Sarah stopped at the edge of the clearing. Her training said to assess the situation before acting. She looked carefully. The ship was badly damaged. Metal that looked strange and wrong was bent and torn. There were bodies on the ground. No, not bodies, creatures, aliens, real aliens. Some were moving weakly. Others were completely still. They wore armor that looked advanced but was clearly broken. They were tall, taller than humans, with long limbs and large heads. Their skin was pale blue. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Sarah made a decision. Threat or not, these were living beings in pain. She moved forward carefully, her medical bag already in her hands. The closest alien was barely breathing. Its armor had cracked and something that might be blood was leaking out. Sarah knelt beside it. She had no idea about alien biology. But some things were universal. Pressure stops bleeding. Keep airways open. Prevent shock. She worked quickly. Her hands moved on their own, doing what they had been trained to do thousands of times. The alien's eyes opened. They were golden and large. They looked at her with what might have been fear. Or confusion. Or both. It's okay, Sarah said quietly. I'm here to help. She moved to the next alien. Then the next. There were so many. Too many for one person. But she did what she could. She stabilized the worst injuries. She marked the ones who needed immediate evacuation. She kept working. Inside the crashed ship, Commander Zethus was struggling to stay conscious. Every breath hurt. His body felt like it was being crushed by an invisible force. This was supposed to be impossible. His armor should have been compensating for the gravity. But the armor was broken, and even if it was not, he was starting to suspect it would not be enough. He watched through the broken doorway as the human worked. Female, young by human standards according to their intelligence, small, maybe 60 kilograms, but she moved like the gravity meant nothing. She carried equipment that weighed at least 20 kilograms like it was empty. She lifted broken pieces of his ship to reach trapped soldiers. Zethus had led invasions on 12 worlds. He had fought against species with advanced weapons. He had seen combat robots and automated defense systems. But he had never seen anything like this. This human was not even a soldier. She wore simple clothing. She had no weapons. Yet she was doing things that should be impossible. One of his soldiers, Kelmar, was trapped under a support beam. The beam was heavy-grade titanium alloy. It would take at least 3 Kaldrith soldiers in full armor to lift it. Zethus had tried and failed. The human walked over to it. She examined it for a moment. Then she grabbed it with both hands and lifted. The beam rose. The human's face showed effort, but she lifted it. She held it long enough for Kelmar to drag himself free. Then she lowered it carefully and immediately started treating Kelmar's crushed leg. Zethus felt something he had never felt before in combat. True fear, not fear of death, fear of understanding. This human was not special. Their intelligence report said Earth had billions of humans. If they were all like this, if they could all function normally in this crushing gravity, then the Kaldrith had made a terrible mistake. Earth was not a primitive world. Earth was a death world. The gravity was at least 30% higher than the Kaldrith homeworld. The air was thick and rich with elements that were slowly poisoning his people. The temperature swings were extreme. Everything about this planet was hostile to advanced life. But humans lived here. Humans had evolved here. Every single human on this planet was adapted to conditions that were killing his invasion force. The humans were not weak primitives. They were survivors of an environment that most galactic species would consider uninhabitable. More humans arrived. They came in vehicles with flashing lights. They wore uniforms, medical personnel and military. They moved with purpose and coordination. They brought equipment and began working on the injured Kaldrith soldiers. A human male approached Zethus. He was older, with lines on his face. He carried medical equipment. "Can you understand me?" the human asked slowly. Zethus's translator was damaged but functional. "Yes," he managed to say. "Good. I'm Dr. Morrison. We're going to help you. But I need to know about your biology." "Can you tell me what's wrong?" Help. They were going to help. Zethus tried to process this. "We came to invade your world," he said. The truth seemed important somehow. Dr. Morrison nodded. "Yeah, we figured that out. But right now you're injured and we're doctors. We'll worry about the other stuff later. Now tell me where it hurts." Over the next few hours, Sarah watched as hundreds of humans converged on the crash site. Military established a perimeter. Scientists arrived to study the technology, but most were medical personnel. They worked tirelessly to save the alien soldiers who had come to conquer Earth. She heard similar reports from other crash sites. All over the world, the same thing was happening. The alien invasion had failed. Their ships had crashed. And humans were responding not with weapons, but with ambulances. Sarah sat on a piece of wreckage, taking a break. The alien she had first treated was stable now. He would live. They would probably all live thanks to human intervention. It was surreal. A news helicopter flew overhead. This was already global news. First contact with aliens. And it had happened like this. Not with greeting or weapons, with a rescue mission. One of the aliens, wearing a broken exoskeleton that helped him stand, approached Sarah. He moved carefully, like every step hurt. He probably could barely handle Earth's gravity. "You saved my life," the alien said through a translation device. "Why? We came to destroy you." Sarah looked at him. She thought about how to answer. Finally, she said, "Because you needed help." "That's enough reason." The alien stared at her. "We thought you were primitive. We thought we were superior. We were wrong about everything." "Yeah," Sarah said. "You were, but we all make mistakes. The important thing is what you do after. You're learning now." "That's good." The alien was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "My name is Zethus. I commanded this invasion. I'm responsible for this failure." "I'm Sarah," she replied. "And this isn't a failure. This is first contact. It's messy, but we're all still here. That's a win in my book." As the sun set over the crash site, Sarah watched humans and aliens working together. The aliens were learning just how strong humans were. But more than that, they were learning what humans chose to do with that strength. They could have left the aliens to die. They could have captured them as prisoners. Instead, they saved them. Sarah smiled. Humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in the most human way possible. Not with weapons or threats, with compassion and stubborn refusal to let anyone die if they could prevent it. Even their enemies. Especially their enemies. The galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. The United Nations Emergency Assembly was called 6 hours after the first crashes. Representatives from every nation gathered in New York. The room was filled with tension. Outside, the world was watching. Everyone wanted to know what would happen next. Secretary General Maria Santos stood at the podium. "We are facing an unprecedented situation," she said. "We have been visited by an extraterrestrial species. They came with hostile intent, but they are now completely helpless on our world. We must decide how to respond." The debate that followed was intense. Some representatives demanded the aliens be treated as prisoners of war. Others wanted to study them. A few even suggested humanity should retaliate somehow, but many voices spoke for mercy. The representative from Kenya stood. "These beings are injured and dying. Whatever their intentions were, they are no longer a threat. We have medical personnel already helping them. I propose we continue this course. Show them who we are through our actions. And what if more come?" demanded the Russian representative. "What if this was just the first wave?" "Then they will see what happened to the first wave," replied the Indian representative. "They will see that Earth is not defenseless, but they will also see that we do not slaughter the helpless. Both messages are important." After hours of discussion, a resolution was passed. The stranded aliens would be given medical care. They would be housed in secure but humane facilities. Scientists would be allowed to communicate with them, and Earth would prepare a message for any other aliens who might come. Dr. Amara Okafor was chosen to lead the scientific team. She was a xenobiologist from Nigeria, one of the world's leading experts in theoretical alien life. Of course, all her work had been theoretical until now. She stood outside the largest intact alien vessel, taking deep breaths. "Ready?" asked her assistant, Chen Wei. "No," Amara said honestly, "but let's do it anyway." Inside the ship, they found Commander Zethus. He was in a specially designed support chair that helped him deal with Earth's gravity. Even with the support, he looked uncomfortable. His large golden eyes watched them enter. "Commander Zethus," Amara said through the translation device they had cobbled together from the alien technology. "My name is Dr. Amara Okafor. I would like to talk with you about your people and why you came here." Zethus was silent for a moment. Then he said, "You want to understand your enemy?" "I want to understand our first contact with alien life," Amara corrected. "Whether you are our enemy is something we will decide together." Over the next few days, Amara and her team learned the truth about the Kaldrith Empire. They were an old civilization. They had mastered space travel 3,000 years ago. They had built an empire through conquest. 47 worlds had fallen to them. "Why Earth?" Amara asked. "What did you want here?" "Resources," Zethus answered. "Your planet is rich in minerals we need. And your people were supposed to be primitive, easy to control. We would have taken what we wanted and left you with enough to survive. We thought we were being merciful. But you didn't know what kind of planet this was," Chen Wei said. "No," Zethus admitted. "Our scans were incomplete. We did not understand that Earth is what we call a forge world, a death world. The gravity, the atmosphere, the temperature variations. Most species would die here within days. Your people not only survive, you thrive. Every human child is stronger than our finest soldiers. We did not invade a primitive world. We tried to conquer a planet of warriors. We're not warriors, Amara said. We're just people. You are both, Zethus replied. That is what makes you terrifying. The news from other crash sites was similar. All over the world, humans were learning about the Kaldrith, and the Kaldrith were learning about humans. The learning went both ways. Captain James Morrison, the trauma surgeon from London, was working at a crash site in Scotland. He had been operating for 16 hours straight, trying to save Kaldrith lives. The biology was strange, but the principles were the same. Stop the bleeding, repair the damage, keep them alive. One of his patients, a young Kaldrith soldier named Veka, watched him work on her companion. Why are you doing this? She asked. We came to enslave you. James did not look up from his work. His hands moved steadily, stitching a wound with modified surgical thread. Because you're hurt, he said. I'm a doctor. That's what doctors do. But we are your enemies. Right now you're my patient. That's all that matters right now. Veka was quiet for a moment. Then she said, the Kaldrith Empire has never encountered anything like humans before. We have fought species with better technology. We have faced stronger weapons. But we have never met anyone who responds to invasion with rescue. It does not make sense. James finished the stitching and looked at her. Maybe that's our strength. We don't always make sense. We're complicated. We fight wars, yes. We can be violent and cruel. But we can also be kind. We can choose mercy. Even when it doesn't make sense strategically, we can choose to help. That's what makes us human. Around the world, similar conversations were happening. Humans and Kaldrith were talking to each other, learning about each other. The Kaldrith were amazed by human strength. They watched human children play games that involved running and jumping, activities that would exhaust a Kaldrith soldier in full support gear. Human children did for fun. But humans were also impressive in other ways. The Kaldrith learned about human art, music, and literature. They learned about human history, the wars and the peace treaties. They learned that humans had almost destroyed themselves several times but had always chosen to step back from the brink. Your species is very young, Zethus told Amara during one of their sessions. You have only had space travel for less than a century, but you have something that the Kaldrith Empire has lost. You have hope. You believe in second chances. We believed only in strength and conquest. What do you believe in now? Amara asked. Zethus looked around the facility where he was being held. It was secure but comfortable. Humans had modified it to help the Kaldrith survive Earth's conditions. They had installed gravity compensators salvaged from the crashed ships. They provided food specially prepared to be safe for Kaldrith biology. They did everything possible to keep the stranded aliens alive and healthy. I believe we have much to learn, Zethus finally said. We thought we were superior. We thought our technology and genetic enhancements made us better. But we forgot something important. We forgot how to be compassionate. We forgot that strength without mercy is just cruelty. 6 weeks after the crashes, the world held its breath as sensors detected another ship approaching Earth. This one was much larger. It took up position in orbit but came no closer. The message came through all frequencies. This is Ambassador Kelthara of the Kaldrith Empire. We come seeking our lost soldiers. We do not come in war. We come to talk, the United Nations responded. This is Earth. Your soldiers crashed when they attempted to invade our world. Many died. The survivors are alive and under our care. You may send a representative to the surface to discuss their return. There was a long pause. Then Kelthara replied, under your care? You are keeping them alive? Yes, Secretary General Santos responded. We are not monsters. They were injured. We helped them. That is what we do, another long pause. Then Kelthara said, we would very much like to meet with you, and to understand how you defeated an invasion force without weapons. Maria Santos smiled. We're looking forward to explaining it to you. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Kelthara. We have a lot to talk about. In his facility, Zethus heard the news. Relief flooded through him. His people knew what happened. They were coming to talk, not to fight. He looked at Sarah Chen, who was visiting to check on the medical status of the Kaldrith under her care. Your people just changed the galaxy, Zethus said. The Kaldrith Empire has never retreated from a fight, but we are retreating from Earth. Not because you threatened us, because you showed us something we had forgotten. You showed us what real strength looks like. Sarah shrugged. We just did what felt right. Help people who need help. It's not complicated. Perhaps not for you, Zethus replied. But for the rest of the galaxy, you have just become the most powerful force we have ever encountered. Not because of your weapons or your technology, but because of who you choose to be. Earth's first contact with alien life had been messy, violent, and completely unexpected. But somehow it had worked out. Humanity had faced an invasion force and responded with hospitals instead of guns. They had turned enemies into patients, and in doing so, they had announced themselves to the galaxy as something unique, something powerful, something that chose compassion over conquest. The galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador Kelthera stood in the shuttle as it descended toward Earth. She had prepared herself for many possibilities. She expected to negotiate for prisoners. She expected to face weapons and threats. She expected humans to demand tribute or technology in exchange for the return of Kaldrith soldiers. What she did not expect was what actually happened. The shuttle landed at a specially prepared site near the United Nations headquarters. Kelthera wore a full-support exoskeleton. Even with all the Kaldrith Empire's technology, functioning on Earth would be difficult. The planet's gravity was extreme by any civilized standard. The shuttle door opened. Kelthera stepped out carefully. Each movement took concentration. The gravity pulled at her even through the exoskeleton. How did anything live in these conditions? A group of humans waited for her. They looked so normal, so unremarkable, small by Kaldrith standards. Their clothing was simple, yet they stood and moved like the gravity meant nothing to them. Because it did mean nothing to them. This was their normal. A human female stepped forward. She was elderly by human standards with gray hair and lines on her face, but she moved with easy confidence. Ambassador Kelthera, welcome to Earth. I am Secretary General Maria Santos. We are pleased to meet you in peace. Secretary General Santos, Kelthera replied through her translator. I must be honest. I am confused by what I have found here. My people came to invade your world, yet you have saved them. Why? Maria smiled. Why don't we sit down and talk about it? I think you'll find Earth has much to teach you. They gathered in a conference room designed to accommodate both species. Kelthera sat in a specially designed chair that helped support her in Earth's gravity. Around the table were representatives from many Earth nations, scientists, military officers, and surprisingly, Commander Zethus Kelthera stared at her fellow Kaldrith. Commander, you are well? I am alive thanks to human medicine, Zethus replied. Ambassador, I must tell you what happened here. We did not fail because of human weapons. We failed because we completely misunderstood what Earth is. Over the next hours, Zethus explained everything. The gravity that crushed their ships, the atmosphere that poisoned them slowly, the complete failure of their equipment and their bodies to function on Earth, and the human response to their helplessness. They saved us, Zethus said simply. They could have let us die. They could have captured us as slaves. Instead, they treated us as patients, as guests. They have given us medical care, food, and shelter, all while we were helpless before them. Kelthera processed this information. It made no strategic sense. But why? What do they want in return? Dr. Amara Okafor spoke up. We want understanding. We want to know about the galaxy. We want to establish peaceful relations, but mostly we helped because it was the right thing to do. Your soldiers were hurt. We are capable of helping, so we helped. It's that simple. Nothing is that simple, Kelthera protested. For humans, it often is, Amara replied. We're not always logical. We make decisions based on empathy as much as strategy, sometimes more. Kelthera was silent. Then she said, I must see for myself. I must see my soldiers and understand what happened to them. They took her to the facility where the Kaldrith survivors were housed. Kelthera expected prison cells. She found something more like a hospital mixed with a hotel. The Kaldrith had private rooms equipped with gravity compensators. They had access to communication. They were not restrained. Kelthera spoke with many of the soldiers. They all told similar stories. The crash, the injuries, the humans coming to help. Many spoke with obvious respect and even affection for their human caregivers. Ambassador, one young soldier said, I watched a human female lift debris off my commander with her bare hands. She was not even a soldier, just a hiker who happened to be nearby. She saved his life without hesitation. And she weighs perhaps half what I do. How is this possible? Earth is a death world, Kelthera said quietly. The humans evolved in these conditions. They are adapted to them. They are more than adapted, the soldier replied. They are magnificent, and terrifying, and kind. I do not understand them, but I respect them. Back at the United Nations, Kelthera requested a demonstration. She needed to show her superiors exactly what they had encountered. The humans agreed. They brought Kelthera to a gymnasium. It was a place where humans trained and exercised. A human male entered. He was introduced as an Olympic weightlifter. One of Earth's strongest humans, but not enhanced in any way. Just a normal human who trained hard. This equipment was brought from your crashed ships, Maria explained. It's a standard Caldrith cargo container. Fully loaded, it weighs approximately 200 kilograms. The weightlifter approached the container. He bent down, gripped it, and lifted. He held it above his head for several seconds, then lowered it carefully. He was not even breathing hard. Kelthera stared. That is impossible. It takes 4 Caldrith soldiers in full exoskeletons to lift that container. For humans, it's difficult but achievable with training, Maria said. This is what I'm trying to explain, Ambassador. Every human on Earth lives in conditions that would kill most spacefaring species. We're strong because we have to be. This is normal for us, they showed her more. A human rock climber scaling a cliff face with only ropes for safety. A human runner competing in what they called a marathon, running over 40 kilometers for sport. Human construction workers building structures by carrying heavy materials. This is your military? Kelthera asked. No, Maria said. These are just normal people. Our athletes, our workers, our everyday citizens. Our military is trained for combat, yes, but in terms of basic physical capability, all humans are approximately at this level, some more, some less. But all of us can function easily in conditions that would incapacitate your finest soldiers. Kelthera felt something she had rarely experienced. Fear. True fear. The Caldrith Empire could not conquer Earth even if we sent our entire fleet. Your planet itself is a weapon, and your people are warriors whether they intend to be or not. We're not looking for war, Maria said firmly. We're looking for peace. We're looking for friends. We helped your soldiers because that's who we want to be, not conquerors. Not destroyers, helpers, builders, friends. The Caldrith Empire has never had friends, Kelthera said quietly. Only subjects and enemies. Then maybe it's time for something new, Amara suggested. We have much to learn from each other. Your technology is far beyond ours. Your knowledge of the galaxy is vast. We're willing to share what we have. Our strength. Our resilience. Our perspective. In exchange for knowledge and friendship. Kelthera was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I must report this to the High Command. They will not believe it, but they must know the truth. Earth is not a world to be conquered. Earth is a world to be respected and feared, and if you will allow it, befriended. That evening, Kelthera sent her report to the Caldrith High Command. She included video of the demonstrations. She included testimony from Commander Zethus and the other survivors, and she included her recommendation, do not engage Earth in hostility. They are physically superior to us in ways we cannot match without decades of genetic modification. Their planet is a natural fortress that destroyed our invasion force without them firing a single shot. But more importantly, they have shown us mercy when they could have shown us destruction. They have given us a choice. We can be their enemies and face certain defeat. Or we can be their allies and learn from the strongest species we have ever encountered. I recommend alliance, strongly. Earth is not prey. Earth is an apex predator that has chosen not to hunt. We must respect that choice and be grateful for it. Back on Earth, Zethus stood with Sarah Chen outside the facility. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that hurt his eyes but were beautiful nonetheless. What will happen now? Sarah asked. The Empire will accept Earth's offer of friendship, Zethus said confidently. They would be fools not to. But more than that, I think this will change the Caldrith people. We have been conquerors for so long. We have forgotten what it means to have equals. To have friends. You have reminded us. We just did what felt right, Sarah said. She said this often. She seemed to genuinely believe it was that simple. That is your strength, Zethus replied. You do not overthink compassion. You do not calculate mercy. You simply act on your values. The Caldrith have calculated everything for thousands of years. We have optimized for conquest and efficiency. We forgot to optimize for basic goodness. You have never forgotten that, Sarah smiled. Well, we're glad we could help. And we're glad you survived. It would have been a terrible way to make first contact if everyone had died. First contact, Zethus repeated. Yes, this is just the beginning. The galaxy will hear about what happened on Earth. They will hear how humanity defeated an invasion with nothing but their planet's natural conditions and their own strength. But they will also hear how humanity chose mercy over vengeance. Both stories will spread, and the galaxy will change because of it. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Sarah and Zethus stood together in comfortable silence. Above them, the Kaldrith diplomatic ship waited in orbit. Around them, humans and Kaldrith worked together to repair technology and build understanding. The invasion had failed spectacularly, but something better had begun. 1 year after the failed invasion, Earth looked very different. Orbital platforms floated above the planet, built with combined human and Kaldrith technology. Ships from a dozen different worlds came and went regularly. Earth had become an important place in the galaxy almost overnight. Colonel Sarah Chen stood on one of those orbital platforms looking down at Earth. She had been promoted twice in the past year. She now commanded the first joint human Kaldrith training facility. It was called Unity Station, and it represented something new in galactic history. Former enemies working together as partners. Behind her, she heard familiar heavy footsteps. Zethus approached, moving easier now. He had been fitted with a better exoskeleton and had spent months slowly adapting to Earth normal gravity. He would never move as easily as a human, but he was functional. Watching the morning shift arrive, Zethus asked. Sarah nodded. New recruits. 20 humans, 15 Kaldrith. They'll train together for 6 months, learn from each other, hopefully become friends. A year ago I would have said this was impossible, Zethus admitted. Now I cannot imagine a future without it. They walked through the station together. In the training areas, humans and Kaldrith worked side by side. The differences were obvious. Human recruits exercised in standard Earth gravity. They ran, lifted weights, and sparred with each other. Their Kaldrith counterparts trained in reduced gravity sections, building up their strength slowly. But they also trained together. Kaldrith instructors taught humans about advanced technology and space combat. Human instructors taught Kaldrith about survival skills and ground tactics. Most importantly, they learned to trust each other. Sarah stopped to watch one particular training session. A young Kaldrith named Theron was struggling with a climbing exercise even in reduced gravity. A human recruit, a tough woman from Brazil named Isabella, was encouraging him. You can do it, Isabella said. Just 1 more meter. Don't think about the weight. Just move. Theron made it to the top, exhausted but successful. Isabella cheered. Then she demonstrated the same climb in full Earth gravity, moving up the wall like it was nothing. Theron watched in amazement, as he always did. They're building something special, Sarah said quietly. Friendship across species. That's worth more than any technology. Down on Earth, Dr. Amara Okafor was giving a presentation at the Galactic Science Conference. The conference was being held in Lagos, Nigeria. Scientists from 17 different worlds attended, either in person or via holographic link. Earth represents what we now call a crucible world, Amara explained. These are planets with conditions so harsh that most species would consider them uninhabitable. High gravity, dense atmosphere, extreme temperature variations, but life can evolve in these conditions, and when it does, it becomes extraordinarily resilient. She displayed images of humans performing various tasks, construction work, sports, military training, things that were routine for humans but impressive to most other species. Humans are not unique in this regard. Amara continued. We have identified 3 other crucible worlds in known space. The Threxians evolved on a planet with even higher gravity than Earth. The Korvath developed under extreme pressure at the bottom of deep oceans. Each species has adapted to conditions that would kill most advanced life forms, and each has become physically formidable as a result. An alien scientist from the Polarian species asked a question. But Dr. Okafor, humans are not the strongest species we know. The Threxians are stronger. What makes humans significant? Amara smiled. Strength is not just physical. Yes, the Threxians are stronger than us. They evolved on a planet with twice Earth's gravity, but they used that strength to isolate themselves from the galaxy. They saw other species as weak and themselves as superior. Humans made a different choice. When we had the opportunity to demonstrate our strength through violence, we chose to demonstrate it through mercy instead. That is what makes us significant. The conference room was silent. Then slowly, scientists from many worlds began to gesture agreement. Their various species had different ways of showing approval, but the meaning was clear. The story of the Kaldrith invasion had spread across the galaxy rapidly. Every spacefaring civilization heard about it. And every civilization had responded differently. Some, like the Polarians, had immediately reached out to Earth with friendship. They were a peaceful trading species and saw humans as potential allies. Others, like the militaristic Voth Confederation, had become wary. They saw humans as a potential threat, but most were simply curious. They wanted to understand this new species that had defeated an invasion without fighting, and then saved their invaders. Ambassador Kelthera had become an unexpected celebrity in galactic politics. She had written a book about her experiences on Earth. It was called The Day We Learned Humility, and had become required reading in many civilizations. She was invited to speak everywhere. At the Galactic Coalition Assembly, Kelthera stood before representatives of 43 worlds. Before Earth, the Kaldreth Empire believed in the supremacy of the strong, she said. We conquered because we could. We took what we wanted because we had the power. But we confused strength with virtue. We thought being able to take something meant we should take it. She paused, letting her words sink in. Earth taught us that true strength is measured not by what you can take, but by what you choose to give. Humans could have destroyed our stranded soldiers. They could have held them hostage. Instead, they saved them. They fed them. They cared for them. And they asked for nothing in return except friendship. This is power we had never imagined. The power of compassion. The assembly was quiet. Then the representative from the Thelos Collective spoke. Ambassador Kelthera, your words are moving. But some of us wonder if Earth's mercy was simply because they did not need to be cruel. They had already won. Would they have been so merciful if the battle had been closer? Kelthera smiled. That is the question many asked. So we looked at human history. We studied their wars, their conflicts, their moments of darkness. And we found that humans have always had this capacity. Even in their worst conflicts, humans have created rules of war. They established protection for prisoners. They treated wounded enemies. Not always. Not perfectly. But consistently enough that it is clearly part of their nature. They feel compassion for their enemies even while fighting them. This is not weakness. This is strength of a kind we have never possessed. Back on Unity Station, Sarah was in her office when an alert came through. A new ship had entered Earth's solar system. Unknown design, unknown origin. It was broadcasting a message in multiple languages. Sarah opened the channel. A holographic image appeared. The creature was unlike anything in the current galactic database. It had multiple limbs and a segmented body. Its voice was translated by the computer. This is Scout Commander Thraxis of the Voth Confederation. We have heard of Earth. We have heard the stories. We do not believe them. We challenge humanity to prove their strength. We will send a combat team to your planet. If they can survive and complete a standard military exercise, we will acknowledge your capabilities. Do you accept? Sarah looked at Zethus, who had joined her. What do you think? She asked. I think the Voth are making the same mistake we made, Zethus said. They do not believe the stories. They need to see for themselves. Sarah opened a response channel. Scout Commander Thraxis, we accept your challenge. But we propose a modification. Send your combat team. We will provide them with the best equipment we have, and we will send a team of human civilians to compete alongside them in the same exercises. No soldiers. Just regular people. If you agree, come to Unity Station and we will arrange everything. There was a pause. Then Thraxis responded, Civilians? You mock us. No mockery, Sarah said calmly. Just truth. If you want to understand humanity, you need to understand that our strength is not just military. It is fundamental to who we are. Come and see. We welcome you. 2 weeks later, the demonstration took place on Earth's surface. The Voth had sent 5 of their finest soldiers. They were equipped with the best human military gear, modified for their biology. Alongside them were 5 humans. A teacher, a construction worker, a farmer, a nurse, and a retired grandmother. The exercise was simple. Complete a 20-kilometer course with obstacles. Carry equipment. Navigate terrain. Complete tasks requiring physical effort and problem solving. It was a standard military training exercise. The Voth soldiers were confident at first. They were trained warriors. They had advanced exoskeletons to help with Earth's gravity. They expected to complete the course in half the time it would take the human civilians. They were wrong. The human civilians finished first. Not by a little, by almost an hour. They had moved through the course like it was a pleasant walk. The retired grandmother, 72 years old, had actually helped one of the Voth soldiers when he got stuck climbing a wall. Scout Commander Thraxus watched the recordings in disbelief. "This is not possible. Your civilians outperformed our elite soldiers." "Welcome to Earth," Sarah said simply. "This is what we tried to explain. We are not strong because of training or technology. We are strong because our planet made us this way. Every human child grows up learning to function in conditions that are extreme for most species. It is normal for us.